again. A goal, Chris Billy, Huddersfield Town. The most famous goal of Chris Billy's life.
Is this the moment for Lee Fowler? It is. Take your place in Division 2, Huddersfield Town.
Droopy and Steve Simonson's boots now. He's missed. Steve Simonson clears the frame of the goal and collapses in a heap of tears. Huddersfield Town are promoted.
Mustafa Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
Right, we're here. Go.
Welcome to episode 76 of the Andy Takes That Chance podcast. No goals once again, but no shortage of opinion as we're live on YouTube and as always, ready to take your comments and join in with the discussion with you guys. So this episode is again sponsored by Magic Rock Brewing. Remember to go down to the tap rooms at both Birkby and Holmfirth and check them out, or order online if you live a little further away. So on our panel, if you like, tonight we go from Huddersfield Town 0 to a group of heroes for doing this with me every week for the last few years. I'm Matt Shaw, and with me I've got Richard Kosi Kosmala, Brady Biofrost, and Neil. We're gonna do a heroes kind of thing, and I was gonna call you Wayne the Woman, but I don't know if that'll go down particularly well. So I've got Neil Wayne as well with the fantastic background going on there. So Neil wins that this week for sure. So hello to everybody online who is following us. So what we'll do is we'll throw some things out your way as well and get you involved with the chat. So I thought we'd do things in chronological order this week. So the first real point of note is that since the last podcast we did, we've gone and strengthened the squad. In comes Naby Sarr from Charlton, a 6'5" international ball-playing centre-back with pace, whose roots are in Lyon and Sporting Lisbon, and he's just coming into his prime years. What's the catch, I hear you say? Well, who knows? A man who did an article this week on Naby Sarr is Brady Frost himself. So Naby joins from Charlton Athletic, having had a call-up for Senegal recently in 2019, and also having played for the French under-21. So there's a great pedigree there, although he's got to isolate for a couple of weeks, Brady, for the next couple of weeks to make sure he's complying.
Yeah, and so we spoke to Lewis Catt from Charlton Live. So Charlton's the club where Naby Sarr's played the most. He's played over 100 games for them. Key things that stood out for me chatting to him was it was talking about his ability to carry the ball forward. He said it was fantastic and he can actually take on a man. The thing that did worry me was he used the word, he can leave you with your heart in your mouth, which is not what you want to hear from a centre-back. But really good passer, has really good vision. Apparently he's really good at picking out an assist now and again. Did one for Lyle Taylor. And he's also quite a good finisher. Apparently Lee Bowyer said he's the best finisher in the club, which probably says well.
Seen him on free kicks on the video, didn't we, Brady? So there's a video going around, isn't there? I think it's Farewell Naby Sarr or something, and he bangs in a free kick there, which is quite impressive. And it's an interesting one.
No, it's decent. I think, they talked about set pieces were a weakness at Charlton, so it'd be hard to kind of pinpoint the blame on him. I mean, we know all about weakness at set pieces, don't we, lads? But the main thing was he was kind of made a scapegoat at the club, came back, went on loan to Red Star in the French second division, and came back and he became a cult hero. And Charlton fans said they got it for him to go, and it does sound like, for a free 27, he's a left-footed centre-back as well, who can play the ball. It sounds like for a free addition, it's going to be a good one. So apparently he's a good laugh as well. So maybe he'll bring a bit of positivity to the club.
Cult hero. You can never go with, never have too few of those hanging around the place for sure. Neil, do you think this answers any lingering questions people might have had about Terence Congolo? Because online, there's a little bit of should he stay, should he go? There's a song coming on in here. But there's a few people still sort of holding on to hopes that Terence Congolo will get back fit and play next season. I think the signing of Naby Sarr might just end those hopes, don't you think?
Congolo, you're going to kick a ball for Town again. It's that simple. I think it's just a case of get him as fit as possible to move him on. I'm pretty sure there's 2 or 3 clubs that are in for him that want him. That something might move on that nearer the window closing. If anybody's wanting Congolo to play, don't hold your breath. I think he's, without being harsh, I think when he signed on loan, looked great. And I think we were all really happy when he signed permanently. But after that first season, he clearly didn't want to be here. So it's a real shame he got injured at Fulham, because of the season that they had. Would have probably sold him by now and recouped a fair wedge back. But obviously, he's going to be another year down on a contract, so less money coming in, and he's been costing us. And that wage is big. So hopefully, let's look forward now rather than past. Let's look forward to seeing Sarr get into the team. I think he's got to get up to speed training-wise once he comes out of quarantine. So don't expect to see him for the next 2 or 3 weeks at least.
The expectation level, Kosi, then needs to obviously be tapered, because he's not had a pre-season. He's got to isolate now, and then he's got to get up to speed and join in with the murder ball sessions. And it looks quite a big, strong, fit guy, not in a strange way, but he looks like he hopefully won't take too long to get up to speed. But what are your thoughts on signing him? Because to be honest, when you look at Town's issues, defense wasn't really the main problem, but it's a welcome addition, don't you think?
Well, he obviously must not have watched Saturday's game, Matt. But blunder from Stearman, Schindler cut out for Rochdale. So to me, urgently required centre back, and 6'5", and we definitely need a bit more, presence. I mean, it's not going to harm as well going forward. So I was pleased. Again, it's always dangerous rule of thumb, kind of looking at social media for people to say, although kind of Brady's done the interview with the Charlton guys, but the feeling from a lot of the Charlton people was, we've got a good player there, so that'll do for me. And if he's half as good as the last guy we got from Charlton, then, it's a good signing. So looking forward to seeing him getting a Town shirt on. And to be honest, we were kind of Stearman ended the game on Saturday. Shame we can't take him out of quarantine.
To be honest, for me, it's one of them where I'm going to sound critical straight away again. I wish we would stop doing these highlight reel things to introduce a new player. Show him with a shirt, show him with a scarf, show us his bits and pieces, appearances, goals, etc., strengths, weaknesses, whatever. But these highlight reels, it's easy to pick out 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 great bits. I mean, we all saw highlight reels of the Chuckle brothers, didn't we? And that's gone well.
Sound like an old man, Neil.
That's gone well. But yeah, maybe I'm a bit old-fashioned with stuff like that. And
Neil, get your TikTok account out, mate.
It's right, though. I get that people want to see that, and I get that people want all stats and ins and outs, and a great tackling and a great header there and assist there. But just let him come, stand on his own 2 feet, and show us what he can do, actually in front of his own eyes. Maybe one of us. Wings over.
Yeah. Cool. Let's move on to Huddersfield Town, Norwich. With regards to thoughts on the game, I've got a couple of thoughts regarding creativity. We'll come to towards the end. We'll save the heavy stuff for the end. So thoughts on the game. I thought Kosi's.
Can I just wind it back? At 2:00, that message came through my phone. My first thought was Huddersfield Town cannot possibly win this game with that team. That was it. I thought we were done at 2:00, mate. We're going to discuss obviously the game and Danny Ward. I mean, wow. I know it's early days and you don't risk players. We've got so many midweek games, but I just looked at that and I thought, let's just keep the score down, lads. It made me feel sad that
we did. To be fair, I thought going on to the game, I thought there were a couple of decent performances. There's a clear pattern emerging. There's a clear style already. Sort of emerging. I felt really sorry for Richard Stearman. I thought for me he was man of the match for the first 75 minutes, and then the next 10 minutes he had a bit of a shocker where he made two big errors. But I did feel for the guy, especially with some of the stuff posted online. Obviously it wasn't at him, but I did feel a little bit for him. Josh Karoma showed up well for me, playing in a position whereby he probably shouldn't be. It highlights Kosi our lack of squad depth. That Josh Karoma was having to start up front when preferably you'd say. He'd probably be on the bench or starting on the wing, ideally. How did you see the game going then? Because tactically, Town were quite strange. I thought Corbrand did there were a couple of interesting little quirks. whereby Toffolo was almost man marking from a wide position with Todd Cantwell. He'd follow him round, and there was we cast our minds back to a watershed game away at Bristol City last year, where Adama Diakabi just won't track back down the flank, and he's actually put a decent defensive performance in this week, Adama Diakabi. So there's a couple of interesting points to look at and a couple of positives. Does anybody want to talk about the positives of losing another game 1-0 before we move on? But I thought there were a couple of things. Brady, you're smiling, so I'm going to come to you. But there's a couple of points whereby things weren't maybe as bad as what one or two people make out, but also it's an opinion. It's a game which has divided opinion. There's a couple of people maybe going a bit over the top in praise as well.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's all about the circumstances of the game as well. I agree with Kosi. I saw the lineup. I was like, right, that's going to go well then. And to be fair, I was impressed. I think the context for me was I was expecting us to lose 3 or 4-0, and we only lost 1-0, and it was a mistake from Stearman. I feel a bit sorry. I agree with you, Matt. I felt sorry for Stearman. Felt like he got a lot of flack unnecessarily afterwards.
We're soft, Brady. That me and you, I think.
Yeah, no, but I think that was for me. That was his best game in a Town shirt, and I know he's made mistakes before. I mean, Millwall last game of the season.
Yeah, just stepping in. Sorry, I reckon a lot of people will not watch the game. Just seen that goal, Stearman do that, and bang on social media.
Yeah,
in my opinion,
possibly.
mate.
No, that's probably a good one.
You're right, mate. And Matt,
it's true, but the harsh reality is that the one calamity that we had with him, and it cost us a game.
I think it goes a bit more than that, Neil. One thing, Carlos Corberán, he was pushed on it afterwards, and what he was annoyed at was not so much the back pass, but the fact that we had an attacking throw-in in their third of the pitch, and we went backwards for no reason. And that's probably one thing that's going to be drilled in, that this team needs to go forward, and we need to find ways to go forward. That ball should have never gone back to Richard Stearman. I know he's made the mistake, and you can't admonish him for that. But going forward, the ball shouldn't be going in that direction.
No, you're right. And he did pick up on that. But I think one thing as well that we haven't mentioned yet about that is that 30 seconds before, he got absolutely clattered.
That's what I was going to say.
Cantwell with an elbow, which you watch that. There's a lot of games he's walking there.
Oh, easy.
He's walking. So
walking, I think.
Yeah, he's got away with one there, and then you've got a question: should Stearman still be on pitch for us? Because he was clearly a bit ruffled by it. If you got clattered elbow full on in face, are you still fit to play? And the fact that
shades of John Thornton going back a couple of years there. Yeah,
that happened. The mistake happened. He didn't kick a ball. As soon as that goal went in, he got subbed. So there's an argument to say, why didn't he get subbed? I appreciate he went off to bring a striker on to try and get
it was tactical, yeah.
I get that. But there's an argument to say, he's got clattered, there's 10 minutes left. Do it then.
I didn't think Norwich were up too much, guys. I didn't either. I'm sorry, I'm going to be a bit negative, but for shock. But I thought Norwich were poor. But you know what? I sat there, I thought, they will win the game. They will win the game.
The problem
even though all the evidence pointed to a 0-0 Matt, and the minutes ticked by, I thought there's going to be some brilliance from them or a cock-up. And look what we got and that as well. You just knew it. And we could have been playing, as they say, till next week. We would never have scored, and we created absolutely zilch, to be honest with you. I'll get the negatives out of the way, then we'll come on some positives for me. But I just thought they were poor. I thought Jonathan Ogg should have got a red card. I thought the ref put that with a shocking tackle from Ogg. Should have walked. Thought they should have had one penalty, 100%, maybe 2. So if you put all that in, I thought Norwich won't play as bad as that again all season, to be honest with you. And I know, positive.
It was a good time to play them, wasn't it?
It was, Matt. And just like it was I thought for Leeds to play at Liverpool, we don't want to mention too much about them, but opening day, it's an opportunity, isn't it, to show. But like we said earlier, and Brady just said it, as soon as I saw that team, how can you hurt them? What have you got?
They were encouraging signs with the pattern of play. They were encouraging that Corberán can clearly think out of the box and get a different tune out of different players, like with the way Toffolo played, like Karoma, like to be fair, Diakabi did a different job, which, let's be fair, he's never been great at the one job he should be doing. So to give him something different thrown in is an hard one, and he did all right. He did all right.
2 balloons this week.
Yeah, 2 balloons, yeah. But yeah, he did all right. So you can see that Corberan's a clever coach, and he clearly thinks tactically very different to the ones that we've had in the recent past. But the same old failings were there. As much as, it was a lot better on the eye, a lot easier to watch. We didn't hurt them. We had one shot at goal for me that I can remember. That's where Karoma made it for himself and just put it just wide, similar to the position when he scored against Man U. He were unlucky with that. I can't remember other than that hurting them at all. And
I've got some stuff on this, Neil. I'll let you finish your point. Sorry.
No, fill your boots. Let's hear
it. So what I wanted to do is I've never been a fan of XG particularly, but I had a conversation about XG and what it's about with a very good Carling Optus stats gentleman by the name of David Hartrick, who has brought me round to the ways of XG. So thanks for that, Dave. Town, like I said, received a bit of praise, but when you look at the brass facts, Huddersfield Town in this game average, so expected goals is a lot more complicated than what I initially thought it was. I just thought it was some guy in the stadium just pressing a button if it was a good chance, but apparently not. So if we look at Town's expected goals, which is, the penalty box is mapped, and when you get into certain areas, it does bits and bats. Kosi's finding XG hilarious.
No, I'm just finding expected goals hilarious.
Expected, yeah. Unexpected goals is what we want.
Start the season well, mate. Expected goals 0 in the first game, 0 in the second game. Sorry, Matt, sorry.
But in the first half, we were expected to score 0.1 goals, and by the end of the game, it's 0.28, which is the lowest in the Championship, which shows how tepid we were really going forward, despite the nice passing. I think it's easy in isolation to just go, you know what, it's just one game, it doesn't matter. But then you start to look at, we lost 1-0 to Rochdale. Did we ever hurt Rochdale, who got battered at the weekend in League One? No, we didn't hurt Rochdale. And then you start to look at longer term trends. And I looked at the last 12 games. Obviously, I didn't choose the 4-0 against Charlton because it doesn't suit my argument. So I've looked at the last 12 games. So I'm honest, I'm up front. So the last 12 games, we've scored 7 goals in 12 games. And 12 games is 12, 24, it's just over a quarter of a season. If you then take that and you extend that 12-game pattern over 46, you're then looking at us scoring across the season between 26 and 27 goals, which is pathetic. There's no getting away from how bad that is. That is what has me worried. The lack of goals. It's not so much the lack of goals, but the lack of chances. We are not creating chances on any level. And, people can say Adama Diakabi did well defensively. He did. He put one good ball in the box to nobody in the entire game in an attacking sense. He didn't create anything. Alex Pritchard didn't create anything.
Don't get me started on him.
Janino Bacuna, I like a lot of Janino Bacuna. He's a maverick, but he had a stinker Saturday. No two ways about it.
He was completely anonymous.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the statistics for these players, and Jonathan Hogg. I'm not going to start talking about Jonathan Hogg in an attacking sense. He's a defensive 6. That's what he does. He does what he says in the tin. No worries. But you look at the statistics of these players over a longer term. Alex Pritchard has played 66 games for Huddersfield Town, and he's got 3 goals and 3 assists. That is a meaningful contribution to a goal or an assist every 11 games. That's not good. Even if you take away all the subs, and then you take it by minutes, he's averaging something over about 8 games. Adama Diakabi played 33, 3 assists. That's, again, a contribution every 11 games. Janino Bacuna, better, played 65, 7 goals, 5 assists. But, again, that's a contribution every 5.4 games. But at what cost does that bring when he's away with the Fairies? Jonathan Hogg, I did Jonathan Hogg just for fun. But
in fairness, then, we can expect every 11 games for Pritchard and Diakabi to have a great time.
Exactly. And Jonathan Hogg's played 234, 2 goals, 6 assists. That's every 29.25 games. But that's just for fun. We're not expecting that from Hoggy. But Isaac and Benza again, 1 goal, 1 assist in 32, a contribution of every 16 games. And this is 100% for me the problem with Huddersfield Town. This is why I said earlier, Kosi, that Naby Sarr wasn't really the number one, a central defender wasn't the number one thing that we needed. We needed one, no worries. But for me, we need a creative outlet to play either wide or attacking central midfield, because at the minute, we are just not creating chances for a striker. We could go out and we could get a really good striker, But what's the point if nobody's actually getting him the ball in the right areas? And that is one of the really worrying things for me. And I don't want to dig out these players specifically, although I know I've just, dug out the stats and what have you. But the issue for me is that confidence has gone in these players, and we just do not look like doing anything. And last week, I gave you the stats last week that Mounier and Grant together contributed, goal or assist to 63% of our goals last season. And it just leaves me with absolute fear that this year is just going to be the year of Huddersfield Town nil. And
100%, Matt. And
it's not the end of the window, hands up. It's not the end of the window, and I don't want to be all doom and gloom.
Today, there's two, big shouts for incomings, and
it's
one
just at the moment.
outcoming.
This is my worry.
Good.
Yeah, this is just my worry at the moment, and it can change. And I do believe Corberan will improve players. I've seen little bits already where I'm really hopeful.
We said last week, didn't we? With the predictions, we said last week that there's a caveat on that there's still a month left of the window and things can change. We can get people in, but we can only judge it week on week on what we see and what there is. And that's, you can't judge it on ifs and buts and maybes, because, if we'd have scored more in Premier League, we might have stayed up, but we didn't. So
Matt is right, though. It's like we keep hearing we need a striker. I was arguing with someone in a pub on Saturday night, from a distance, of course. But we need a striker. But Matt, you're right. We're not creating anything. You could have your world's best strikers in there. How are they going to get, come in? And, people say, Danny Ward want him. But, mate, what would he have had to feast on anyway? What would Ronaldo have had to feast on if he were up front? No, absolutely nothing. And let's get on to it, Neil. You mentioned it. Alex Pritchard, I mean, if he feels bad, I feel like picking on the same guy, but his passing was shocking. Absolutely shocking. How does count? How many times he couldn't even pass to his man? The ball.
I think Pritchard for me would not been anywhere near the 18, never mind the 11. He has been a complete waste of time from the minute he walked in the door.
Neil, who would you have in that role then? Just behind?
Anybody but him.
Name a name, mate. Give me someone Saturday, mate. Never mind, name a name. Give me someone, mate.
Well, if Matty Daly's fit, I'd have him inside somewhere near there. I'd have even started Bacuna there in front of Pritchard. Pritchard's a dead loss. Matt Stats have proved it up. Matt Stats, has anyone for you? You didn't have that?
Skibbity bomb, bad up boat. Yeah.
You know what, Neil? Yeah. That's not a bad shout, Bacuna. I mean, Matt, what? If
he gave Bacuna that sort of, because
he didn't have to chase back.
He goes missing. So I mean, he went missing on Saturday, and Bacuna showed last season in a poor team. Let's be fair, that he can create and he can score. When he's on it, he's either in 3 touches. We've said it a million times, but in 3 touches, Bacuna can go Barcelona, Aldershot, Barcelona. That's what he's like. He's such a enigmatic player. He's one of those that if he's not on it, you can't afford to be anywhere near it. But chuck him in a 10 role, bit more freedom. Lad's got a strike on him. Lad's got a through ball on him. Play him there. Take a bit of defensive-minded stuff away from him and put him where he could be strong. And with the current squad, we haven't got anybody anywhere near good enough to play that role every week consistently. There just isn't one. And that ain't being negative. That's a fact.
No,
haven't got anybody creative.
No, I completely agree, Neil. I think that's an area we need to address. I think the thing is with stats as well, obviously, Matt talking about expected goals and I think the worrying thing is we've all known for 3 years that Huddersfield, 4 years, I mean how long, that Huddersfield struggled to score goals. And, I think the issue is when the stats back that up, and like you say, Matt, we were the worst out of all the Championship teams to score. We know this. I think, I still want Pritchard to come good. And if he does come good, then brilliant. But let's be honest, based on what we've seen, I've not got anything to suggest it at the moment. You look at...
We can't afford another season of hoping for best from him.
This is it.
Because we'll be down.
And let's be frank, he's not a young player. He's 27. He should be coming into his prime, really. And I mean, you look at Emile Smith-Rowe, who we had last season. I'd love a full season of him. Look how in that short space of time he did. He scored. He scored the winning goal to keep us up.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we need to address. And like you said, there's still a long time to go in the transfer window. But we've got an issue with our strikers. We've got an issue with creating chances. And at the end of the day, stats aside, goals win you games, and I can't see us scoring.
Matt, what are you saying out there, mate? Are we getting some stick, or are they agreeing with us?
A bit of mix. Yeah, a bit of both, which is fine and
It's fair. It's what you expect.
Yeah, it's fair. It's all good. It's all good opinion, to be honest. Someone's saying, remember a lot of these games were in the Premier League, and there's a good point with Bacuna that he's played right back a few times as well, which he ironically scored from right back away at Preston. So but yeah. In terms of Alex Pritchard, I'm just going to quickly see if I can see what he's done championship-wise, which will be interesting. So Transfermarkt, I'm going to very quickly try and have a look what he did. But
he was really good at Brentford, wasn't he, when he was on loan from Tottenham? But I think that was, you're talking 6 years ago, I think, 2014.
Corbin looks like a guy, though. To me, he won't mess. I like what he said after the game about Stearman. Because, I thought we were going to say, keep your head up, this, that, and the other. And he basically just said, we can't afford any of these mistakes much anymore. I like that. I mean, body language is interesting and he animated character, but the fit, did you see that when it cut to the bench where I think it was like a minute after they'd scored and they were absolutely dejected, weren't they, like their bench? I thought that were a really good sign, that, and you're going to say, well, they're hardly going to be smiling, but I just looked at them, I thought, yeah, they're hurting there. They had a game plan. They had no mistakes and stuff. I'm kind of thinking he could be the man that could lose patience with these guys. And yeah, Neil, you might get your wish, Pritchard for Daly or whatever, or Bacuna, but I don't think they'll have as many chances as before Brady and under last year. I really don't. I've just got a good feel about this guy, Corberan, especially when he gets some more players in.
Yeah, I'll just finish the Alex Pritchard thing because it was our mate Pete Collins says, remember a lot of these games were in the Premier League, and I've quickly had a look at Alex Pritchard, and to be fair, he's not had a good time with his knee in the Championship, but he's got 1 assist in 19 games, so it's actually his record's worse in the Championship than the Premier League. But I think that's a lot down to his knee.
Well, Matt, I'm just looking at the comments. HTAFC Stato, I saw you talking about stats, so he's coming with his stats.
Been usurped in stats, yeah. Proper stat man. Yeah, proper stat man.
He was 2.32 in 760 minutes, and he scored 2. So
there's a job going as my researcher, HTFC Stato, if you're up for it.
Brady, what's everyone saying on the comments, mate? Can you read some of them out? Is there any feedback?
Oh, me, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, mate. Matt's lost his job.
There you go.
I'm happy I'm not Lizzie Greenwood. Is it Lizzie Greenwood who used to do it on the football?
You remember that?
White noise for you all. That's what you love to do on a pod. Paul Gibson said Bacuna was terrible. Pritchard looks like a player whose confidence is through the floor. Tries too hard.
Definitely.
Needs someone to take creative responsibility alongside him. A lot about Bacuna here. I think that's like Neil. He summed it up. He can beat Barcelona with his first touch, all short with his second, and it's just. I think that's what the comments are kind of saying. Really, it's frustrating because we all know he can score a good goal, and we all know what he can do. It's just
I like him a lot, to be honest. Bacuna, I think he's got a lot of ability, and it's just about, we keep saying it every week, don't we? It's all about getting it out. Danny Bell as well says, thing with Stearman, he's made goal costing mistakes in far too many recent games. He played well on Saturday, but costing us the game negates the good performance, and it's right, isn't it? It's you can play well for 89 minutes, you can be the best player on the pitch for 89 minutes, but if that 1 minute costs your team the game, you're no longer man of the match. I know
Neil's ruthless and what have you, mistake, and he was, but the fact he were the one to get back, and if you remember, bungling Ben.
I don't feel sorry for him, but end of the day, facts are facts, aren't they? And
yeah, but I mean, bungling Ben again held that rocket well, didn't he? I can't remember who shot it from Norwich. That I could have
had a good save actually. Did Ben?
I could have farted it harder. Sorry for the language, but again, if Stearman hadn't got there, we'd have been behind then, and this is just it. But like you say, it's ruthless in this division, even though it's maybe not the Premier League. And it was disappointing. And after they'd scored, did anyone turn it off? Because the comeback were hardly on, was it?
No, I thought we altered things and had a go. I thought we're talking a lot of negatives about creativity, but there are positives from the game. There are performances which were good.
Yeah.
Pippa. We haven't even talked about the guy who I thought Karoma was probably just my man of the match, but we've had a guy who's been in England 3 days and not really trained with his teammates, and he's come in, and I thought first 20 minutes he gave the ball away 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, and they dragged down, has it?
Yeah, I thought first 20 mintes I was like, oh, we got another Bock on here, because he gave the ball away 3 or 4 times, and then all of a sudden, brilliant for 70 minutes. Let's talk about people. Let's lift this up.
His engine were good, Matt, wasn't he? The way, to say we're only come on Monday, and he was, his engine were really good. I was really impressed with him in that as well. There were some really good signs as well going forward, especially in that as well. I think him and Toffolo are going to have some fun, but I think let's just hope that the end product as well is, going to be better. But it was definitely a tick in the positive box, mate, Saturday.
Yeah, there was a back heel, wasn't there, in the second half where I think somebody just didn't quite read it down that right-hand side, didn't they? And and things like that will come together with more game time and more time in the training ground. I think they've, fair play to everybody involved with pulling that rabbit out of the hat, if you like. I thought he did really well. And if he plays like that and we see those continuous improvements, I think that's a great signing for us. Obviously, it's too early to say either way, but the early signs from Saturday were really good. I'm really positive with that one. And all of a sudden, our defence, the back four,
a ball playing centre half alongside him. Obviously, what we did alongside him, because Schindler will play right hand side, but to change, to upgrade 2 positions in back four will be key going forward. And then it takes a bit of pressure off the other end. And let's be fair, that needs to happen, doesn't it, until we replace. But with these that we're hearing about, obviously there's this kid from Ajax that's been spoken about. I don't think there's outside there, is there? That sounds like it's sort of well on the way to happening, which I'll be honest, I'll hold my hat up. I've never ever heard of him. But the last player we got from Ajax, I'd never heard of him either. And he turned out to be an absolute gem.
You've ruined my trivia question for the day as well. You've done research and ruined me.
Sorry. I didn't. It's only other player I know that plays for Ajax.
He's the only player we've ever signed from Ajax, yeah. Dean Gorey.
So, Dean Gorey, if he's half as good as he was for us, it'd be a good signing.
I watched the obligatory skills and goals videos, that people put together on YouTube, and there's a couple of times where he's received the ball in the number 6 position and he's turned out brilliantly. And I know it's at what level it might have been. I don't know whether it was the youth Ajax team or whatever, but he looks very good on the ball in that 6th position, in really tight spaces, turning out. And that's exactly what Corbrand seems to want. I don't know what that means for Jonathan Hogg, and I don't know if we don't even know if he's coming yet. It looks good. All looks good at the minute, but
tell him not to look at results from last 2 seasons.
Well, apart from that, but so Carol Eatling, I think he's called this guy. So he technically looks very good. So it'll be interesting to see, like you say, that him coming in and having confidence on somebody in that 6 role to be able to distribute will allow the 2 fullbacks like Pieper and Toffolo to really push forward. And I think that's where the creativity might start, hopefully.
If he's coming from Ajax, he will be comfortable on ball regardless of age group and what have you. That's all they're doing it.
They've got 6-year-olds better on the ball than me.
Absolutely. Honestly. I mean, they've been a production line forever. So to get somebody in of that ilk, and let's be fair, and I've only had the slightest glance because I only saw it about 3-4 o'clock this afternoon. But it looks like he's played alongside some good players there.
Yeah,
and it looks like the only reason that he didn't progress probably and be pushing on like they have is he got a bad injury, didn't he? And missed 14, 15 months or something. So, let's hope that he's over that. Let's hope that we can get him in and get him on, and start giving Carlos a chance to implement his style with some, let's be honest, some better players who are more suited to the style that he's going to want.
Dan Peckett says the Ajax lad signed for Town yesterday on FIFA. Biggest coincidence he's ever had in his life. I'm not reading out your Pieper song there, Dan. It's an absolute stinker, is that? Paul Gibson, it's some Peppa Pig one, but if he sings it and sends it in, we'll play it out. But Paul Gibson says Karoma's going to be a good number 9 in a couple of years, much stronger than I thought, and decent hold-up play. I think there could be definitely something in that, more of a false 9 dropping deep. Ponte Terrier says is saying as well, Karoma showed a couple of glimpses of class, little tricks and first touches. And remember when we signed him last year, and they did say that this year would be the year for Karoma rather than last year. And you've got to, we're first to, Town fans are first to jump in double-footed on the recruitment team, but they were very clear in that for Josh Karoma this year. So, there's a big tick in the box and a well done on that so far. And then, Dan
Karoma
Peckett
was one of the highlights of the couple of pre-season games, to be fair, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah. So, we jumped in a little bit on transfers, but I'm just going to roll back just to finish the Norwich game and a couple of things. And I saw you talking about it on Twitter, Neil. So I'm going to hand this bit over to you. Specifically, it's not your caption competition. I'll give you a little bit more time to be able to get your stuff together this week on that one. But you said so long as Karlen Grant is at the football club, you would play him. You know, as long as he's an employee of Huddersfield Town, he is should be available to play. Do you still subscribe to that?
Yes and no. At the time, completely pissed off because they didn't have a striker anywhere near the pitch. As I meant to say, Karlen Grant's not a striker because of where he plays, which fair enough.
It probably would in this system, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but yeah, in this system, probably worked better than it did previously with the Cowleys. I just think looking at it, you're looking at that team on Saturday. That gets announced at 2:00. You're looking, like Kosi said, you're thinking all day and all night we are getting a goal here. You can't see it. You cannot see it, and that's not hindsight. That's two and a half years of seeing the same thing regurgitated where we do not look like scoring. And then the one lad who we have got on books who can get you the goal is nowhere near it. And I appreciate that if he goes, he might get injured, so we can't sell him and we'll miss out on that. That his heart might not be in it. And to be fair, I've been one of those that have been critical of him for that last season when his sort of head went a bit, he didn't want to be here. But there's just the frustration of having somebody on books when you know you're not going to score, when you see that Danny Ward's injured, he ain't going to be playing, who is the striker we have brought in. So frustrating to see that we're not going to play him. And then if this goes moving forward now, if he doesn't get sold, if this transfer doesn't go through, what happens then? Does he just sit and watch for 3 or 4 months till January, or does he play and possibly risk getting injured? You know, so there's loads of ways of looking at it. At the time, it was a bit of an angry, I can't believe we're not even involving a striker who's got that many goals. Can see the pros and cons of it. I can see the pros and cons of it. But for me, to be honest, I'd probably still had him on bench at the very, very least.
Just in emergency, break glass in emergency kind of.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, look at who we brought on when Steamer went off the last 10 minutes.
Fraser? Was it Fraser Campbell they brought on?
Well, that sums it up. You can't remember who they brought on. That's how effective he is.
I think it was Fraser Campbell.
You know, the best bit of news that's come out this week is hopefully some team that clearly don't scout anybody possibly want to sign Fraser Campbell from us. Brilliant, crack on. That'd be one hell of a move.
Anyone else jumping in? Kosi, what about you? In or out for Karlen Grant before I take
I would have played
comments?
him, mate, and I think it's just going to look stupid if we don't get the money we want for him, and then he's wheeled back in. When's the window again? Is it October the 5th or whatever, and that as well. And with, I don't know, we're 4 or 5 games down the line, but
no points on board, no goals.
Well, allegedly, this happened in January, though, didn't it? Where
I think the thing is, though,
fit.
We don't know what's going on in the background, mate. True. He could have been sulking. He might be buzzing. It's hard to say. Obviously, the only thing we've got to go on is last week. Last week's tweet that he put out and that as well. So, which looked like to me, he will, please get my move done quick. So, I think
could have been cooking a sandwich, mate. He could have been waiting for his oven. You never know. It was just such a silly. Well, not silly. It was just such a nothing tweet, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it might have been something totally different than that as well. But I suppose we better move on. But the irony, I think, didn't he score at Brentford last year? Well, once a game and that beautiful photo,
cracking goal
in front of the away end and stuff. But sadly, it looks like we won't be seeing that this week.
And you know what? Interested or not, he only needs one of them. That's all it takes. One of them. It can be not interested for 89 minutes and win your game. We saw what he can do with very little time on ball so many times last season. So many goals he got with not a lot of space, not a lot of time. Picks his spot. Wigan away, prime example. Yeah. So for me, you're almost you're robbing yourself. You're robbing yourself by not playing him or involving him in some shape or form.
No, I agree, Neil. I think even if his heart's not in it, like Karlen Grant at 50% still gives us a chance. Like you said, Matt, him and Mooney got 63% of our goals last season. We'll see what happens, and obviously it's frustrating because by the sounds of it, waiting for that deal to go through to maybe get some more people in. But when you look at the game against Norwich, and like say how many chances we created and how many shots we got away, it is frustrating. I agree with Neil to see someone who got 19 goals for you last season not even involved. Yes, he's going to move, but potentially. But yeah, I don't know. I just think, again, I know we're not expecting much from these first couple of games, but you might as well chuck him in. You might get a goal.
I think the only caveat I'd throw in is, if this, we don't really know where this move is in the ether, so to speak. If he's on the verge, the rumours at the minute are it's just down to sort out the payment structure between Town and West Brom. We don't know. We're just going by the rumour mill. If it's at that stage and we play Karlen Grant and he does his cruise ship, that's 18 million down the shitter. You know what I mean? That's the only caveat to it. But if he comes on and scores a goal, how vital are those 3 points going to be at the end of the season? There's so many. I don't think there's a right and wrong answer to this one, to be honest. You could play him and you could not play him, and you could be right in both ways.
Let's finish the Norwich game off by the Caption competition, which was actually mine this week, and that as well. So
sorry, mate. You look like a Neil tweet.
Can you see that very well? And that as well, pretty much. Karlen Grant, God, Alice Corbett are down on one knee, and that as well. There's been some really good comments on that as well. Reece Dinsdale of blue tick fame. We don't get many blue tickers, do we?
On blue tick nowadays. Fancy, Reece, is that fancy? Yeah.
It's put as least Leeds add buckets. Yorkshire pundit, I want back passes to the goalkeeper to be this short. Let's have a look there. some stuff that we can't. Someone's Liz Malafronte, marry me, Shindy. There's so much.
I thought that were a good one. That I like that.
Yeah. Liam Parker. Anyone know if Danny Williams is available? Jodie Calvert. Is this how we do the Black Lives Matters thing? Let's have a look. And
you're gonna have to pick a winner, aren't you, as well?
Yeah, USA Terriers is for fun. I'm close to telling Clyde Windart we are getting the band back together. But yeah, I don't know. I like Reese's one and that as well. But it's he was well animated, wasn't he? I don't know what you made a kind of Corbin. You
can hear him. You can hear him in the background. Yeah, you can hear him on the iFollow. You can hear him, and I quite like that. He's very intense, isn't he? I think sometimes David Wagner was intense, but he had that humility with him as well. So I think we yet to kind of see his full personality at Carlos Cobra. But I like what I've seen so far.
Feels like a man though. I could be totally wrong here, but won't be taking any shit. He's coming. Yeah. He's obviously learned off the best at Bielsa.
So many. There's a lot of good managers, isn't there? Yeah.
Gives me.
Tell you what, looking at tonight, just as we're talking, games going on. A good strength Southampton side 0, Brentford 2 at halftime.
Yeah, I've had a message saying Brentford are playing like prime Bayern Munich going into the game on Saturday, which great stuff.
We've just got to finish with our only win of the season was against Bradford City. Did anyone see the score last night, guys? Just as a form guide.
Finish. Yeah. I've got like 7 points left yet.
Good.
But we'll whisk through them. One thing I wanted to say as Brady's missus walks by in the background, so she's live to 50 people on YouTube. But do I need to? I don't live too far from Arla Foods, who do cartons of milk. Do I need to give them a ring and send them a picture of Flo Hadajanai's face? Where is Flo Hadajanai? That is one question.
I'll be honest. Who cares? The further away from this football club he is, the better.
He could do with some milk as well, by the look of him. But he's I don't know what's going on there. We've heard nothing from him. He was supposed to be securing a move 6 weeks ago. I don't know where he's moving to. Whether he's getting the shuttle to Mars, I've got no idea. But that's something that needs to be done as well. Something that was done today and always causes a lot of sadness with football fans is the courts have wound up Macclesfield Town for £500,000 or just over £500,000.
Terrible.
I always find these difficult ones to talk about because of there's always a lot of finger pointing at the football league in Maine, but they try and give the owners a free, as much responsibility as possible, and it's always difficult to point the fingers. Kosi and Neil, you guys I think wanted to mention something about Macclesfield, didn't you? Or go into a little bit maybe.
Not so much going too far into depth there. I just find it extremely sad when the game is awash with money, and I'm not pointing the finger at anybody for having loads in top six, just how it is. But when the game's awash with money and players are earning whatever they're earning, the people who I feel sorry for at Macclesfield, not so much the chairman and what have you, because they've took on thinking they can do it. they've probably lost a bit of their own brass, which at their level isn't good anyway. But you're looking at players who are earning a working wage, shall we call it, and not what we'd consider a normal working wage. As players there not earning anywhere near what you'd class football salaries. You've got people who work there all their life. It's that kind of club. It's a community club. So people, office staff, etc., that have worked there all their life who are now jobless, never known anything else but Macclesfield Town. They'll have put their heart and soul in, from them being non-league to getting in league to back out at league. And I just, for me, it's a sad day. You see players moving for millions upon millions upon millions of pounds, and we've been guilty of wasting millions of pounds in the all too recent past. And to see a team go bust for £500,000 is bad enough, but it's the people I feel sorry for, because, like I say, the players at that level are, they won't be on mega brass. So yeah, it's a sad day for football for me.
No, I agree as well. I mean, obviously it's a complicated issue, but I mean, I saw someone talking today about Richard Scudamore, who obviously was in charge of the Premier League. When he left, every Premier League team gave him a £250,000 leaving bonus. Obviously, saving a club is completely different, but I agree with Neil. Like, there's so much money in football. £500,000 is nothing. Nothing in football, and I think again, like, it's more on the structure and system, because it's the structure and the system that keeps failing clubs. And like you say, it's not just the owner who's affected; it's the club, it's the community. Football clubs mean everything to communities, and look at ours and how it works with the foundation and everything. It's just really sad. I think that's all we can say. And to be honest, I think it's going to be the first of quite a few this season, unfortunately, given everything that's happening.
Obviously, Phil did start warning people of this, didn't he, about 6 months ago? But yeah, so
yeah, I mean, Brady touched about the community there. I mean, I went down at the stadium today, obviously modelling the new Corber and top, but you don't realise, like, Huddersfield were dead today. It probably isn't on a normal Tuesday, but the income that, like, the town and the surrounding areas, the club shop, that is not there at the moment. It's got to be such worrying times. Something just flashed up on my screen a minute ago about the Northeast facing further, tighter lockdown restrictions and stuff. I don't know what,
Even Leeds, mate. I live in Leeds, quite central, and they're talking about a decrease of 40% footfall, and Leeds City Centre really struggling as well. And Brady doesn't live too far from me. Just so there's a couple of chesties in here, so I'm not taking that by myself.
No, I mean, Phil obviously said 60, and let's hope that it's not that number. But I mean, it might be a good idea to kind of bring on the next thing about the trial that's happening and trying to get people back in the ground. But I saw Rugby Union kind of chief exec talking the other day, because they've trialled it, and they were saying, look, 1,000, 2,000. I think the Silverstone guy as well for the Grand Prix. There's just no point. You've got to start somewhere. But for us, 1,000, 2,000, we'll be saying, well, it's better than nothing. But that just earns no money for anyone. The game's in a big mess, aren't there?
It'll probably, because of the nature of it, it'll probably cost them more to open ground for it. To be honest. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, Chris Wilder summed it up beautifully today. I don't know if anyone's seen that video of his press conference. It's brilliant, because he's saying, hang on a minute, I can't see my nan, and I can't remember exactly what it's saying, but yet we're trying to get fans back in the ground. I can't go for a pint with my mate and 6 other people at the pub, but yeah, we want to. I think he would saying exactly what it was on the tin, because when I first heard this week at the Premier League, kind of saying, right, we need people back in, otherwise, honestly, we're in deep doo-doo, pretty much what they were saying. And my first reaction is, yeah, Premier League, up yours, you've got all that money. But it's a real difficult one, isn't it? Because it sounds like to me, if stuff doesn't start rolling soon, we're getting people back in these stadiums, we're going to be in a real big mess on that as well. And just dating 1 or 2 guys in the club shop today, obviously, where we've started, I don't think shirts are going to be falling out of the shelves. But a friend that I saw the other day, she said to me, because I'm not putting me buying a shirt, because I'm not off to the match. Why? What's the point of me buying a shirt? And there'll be so many with their attitude. I think we're in real worrying times, kind of the income that people are losing. Forget about even the boxes and stuff like that as well. But it's welcome this week. Is there 8 games that they're trialing with 1,000 day? And ours is not one of them, is it? But
I think you can do it in areas where there are numbers are certain, and I think Kirklees and Leeds and a few others are pretty high, so I don't think we'll be seeing it or trialled at the moment.
We've got to start. Stuff's got to start rolling back in the grounds, or there's going to be more Macclesfields. I mean, theirs were different. One, be what this were happening pre-COVID. One, there was stuff with I think HMRC, but I look around at the moment. The lower divisions couldn't afford to start. Last year, so they sacked it off after the restart. They've set off now. They're desperate for these fans to come in, and I'm just not sure what to make of it at the moment.
I'll tell you one thing that I find really odd, and I'm glad that these clubs can do it because they need the money just as much as the Football League clubs. But you're looking at teams like Golka and Brighouse Town, who have tiny grounds with tiny stands, rest of it standing round pitch, bar where everyone will be piling in. They're allowed X amount of hundreds of fans in to watch a game at that level in HD postcodes, yet the football club, who is professional, isn't allowed anybody in a 24,500 seat stadium. And I get the reasons why all the Football League can't, but it just seems bonkers that those clubs can. And I'm glad they can, because there's two brilliant football clubs there with Golka and Brighouse. Absolutely brilliant. Do cracking stuff in the communities. They're both good sides, I know, to be fair.
But Neil, with the new rules, mate, 6. So you can't. So I mean,
so how does that work?
So yeah, we can't walk to the stadium together because that's illegal. But we could
go inside.
In theory, we could say. I mean, that's what Chris Wilder were kind of just saying. It
doesn't make sense, does it? It doesn't make sense.
It's perfectly easy. Just shoot a grouse, and then you can take 30 of you. That's the exemption, isn't it? So you'll be fine.
There's a wicket in the cricket, Kosi. I thought England were going to blow it, and they probably still are, but have just taken.
Yeah, I'm watching Yorkshire. I don't want to even talk about that, mate. That's said in one way, but again, that's been affected by the COVID, and it's just such weird times at the moment. And it will be good on Saturday to see the footage of the people back in the grounds and the experience and stuff. I mean, I think the Bundesliga is starting Friday. 20% fans getting back in the stadium, but they've said straight away that as soon as if there's a spike, that goes. Neil, I think you said I don't think we'll get back in the stadium this season. That's obviously looking like it's going to change, but a stadium as we know it, I mean, I talk about the poll that I put. I just don't know. It's so strange, isn't it, at the moment? And
I still won't guarantee you'll see a game at our ground this season.
No.
So football clubs have really got to think of innovative ways in which to make money then, don't they? That's certainly one thing to do. Maybe premium content is going to be the way forward, and we've talked before about maybe how the club need to maybe up its game in certain areas, but maybe there's a window or something for some kind of premium YouTube content, if you like, the chance to maybe interact and speak with players on Zoom, etc. Hold forums.
Well, it's bollocks that we can't watch the game. Well, we have to pay for the game on Saturday against Brentford. Why? Yes, Sky restrictions.
Sky.
Rubbish, mate. That's just garbage, and that's just there's loads of people who are shouting, "Well, I can watch it on, kind of streams anyway and stuff like that." But if they really cared about the fans, we should be able to just click on it and watch it and that as well. I just think
there's your issue, Kosi. There's your issue. Football.
Sky don't care about
football across the board. It's not fan-centric anymore, unfortunately. And the biggest danger of football clubs, ours and every other football club, is whilst people are angry, you've got a chance of re-engaging them because they're angry because they care. But as soon as anger turns into apathy, then you're bollocksed because apathy, people have found something else to do, disengage from it. So keep people angry.
Back, yeah,
absolutely. So angry can turn into happy to be back. Apathy is a lot harder to swing back, and the longer it goes on, now we're only 5 months from when we could actually go in a football ground. It could be a year. So as soon as you get to that kind of level, you've almost lost a generation of fans in that year. So the longer it goes on, is very, very dangerous for football in general.
I did a poll earlier. It's incredible how it's finished. And I knew it'd be close, but you just can't get any closer. So 242 votes. So obviously the trial back happening on Saturday. And I asked whether people are, how they're feeling about getting back in. And it's 50-50. Incredible. 242 votes.
What were the options?
50% yes, get me back in. And next one, till us before, I'm not asked. So that I was just kind of on the back of what the Norwich thing I did last week. The lads were saying to me, until we get away fans in, until we can all sit in with his mates. And as it was before, I'm not asked coming back in. So that were kind of my option. Part of me wonders if it's kind of the club's on a, we're struggling obviously, and we have been. So that's probably factored into a bit of the vote. But yeah, it just finds it frustrating on Saturday that we got, I think it's Leeds and Fulham 3:00 live on BT Sport, free of charge, on your pubs, get stuck in. And yet we've got to pay £10 to watch Brentford v Huddersfield. I think it's absolute bollocks.
Yeah, but I'm afraid that's an EFL Sky decision, that. But speaking of Brentford, how do we cope with Brentford? Obviously, Ben Rama's on the verge of a move, similar to Karlen Grant. So those two won't be playing, as far as we know. Ivan Toney's coming to replace Ollie Watkins. 28 million up front. 28 million going to 33 for Watkins. That's a crazy amount. Well done to whoever brokered that for Brentford. Anyway,
Exeter got a bit, didn't they, as well? That one nice, wasn't it?
Yeah, 3.5, didn't they? And it's going to look after them for a while. So that's a decent club as well as Exeter. So what do we do? So I got asked by Besotted to the fanzine and podcast for Brentford to do sort of 10 minutes audio for them on how we're going to stop. How we're going to stop them.
What's your master plan, mate? Can you reveal it?
Well, I think my master plan was for us to try and keep the ball as long as possible and try and dictate and slow the game down and try and take away the speed of midfield, and get in the face. And when the ball goes wide to Mbuemo, double and triple up on him. I think that might be the plan. But, at the end of the day, if that's successful, we've still got to put the ball in the back of the net at the other end. And the longer you go without scoring, the more pressure goes on the defence. And again, I know I'm going around in circles a bit with chance creation, but for me, the way we win this game is by trying to take the ball off of them, slowing the game down, and hoping that Juninho Bacuna does something magic at the other end to win it for us. That is pretty.
This is where your argument comes back to, do you, don't you, with Karlen Grant in it? Because we're going to be defending a lot. Let's be fair, we are going to be defending a lot on Saturday. And then with one little ball over the top or, decent move attack, he can win it like he showed down there last season.
Yeah, this is going to sound strange, but I think we'll do a lot of our defending with the ball. And Kosi, you understand that. Well, yeah, all of you do. But Kosi, you see that a lot in Spain, don't you? With people, how they dictate the speed of the game as an actual defensive tactic.
You're saying we just want to repeat it last year in a kind of similar way. I mean, I thought it was a bit cringe last year. We did what we need to do, but the slowing, the time wasted, it were pretty minging. The only thing is, Neil, I think with that Grant thing, Corberan's made his bed, and
it's been laid out. It's been laid out. He's not playing, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Danny Ward. I don't know if anyone's heard any stuff. Is he going to be fit? There's rumours that.
I saw a couple of weeks somewhere, but I don't know how reliable that was. Yeah, tweak hamstring, isn't it? Yeah. I think so. Those don't usually clear up quickly, do they?
It's not a great fixture start, though, is it, for us? Jesus.
You take a point. That'd be all day long, wouldn't you?
So what are you guys thinking? Then, Neil, you say you take a point, but what do you actually think will go down?
I think we'll finish second again, but I'd take a point now.
Cosmo?
Yeah, I don't see anything but another defeat, unfortunately. But I think we will score this time, but I think it's going to be 3-1 to Brentford.
And Brady?
Yeah, I mean, before you said they were winning 2-0, I thought, obviously, they lost to Birmingham. It's early in the season. Might be a good time to play him. Again, I just don't really see us creating anything. But I think the positive thing is I don't think we'll lose by a lot. I think this season, I think it will be like you want to.
I've got to be honest. It's still harping back. But the biggest disappointment for me is the fact that it's Brentford's new ground and we can't go.
And
Regardless
if they
of
get
what
promoted,
happens
we
on
might
pitch.
not go for a long time.
Exactly. So, but regardless of what happens on pitch, it harps back, doesn't it, to the reason why we all love football is not particularly the 90 minutes, is it?
No, I think I'd have definitely gone to this one to try and take in the new ground, and it's a good away trip. London, Brentford, it's always decent. So I'll miss that one.
Mate. And I don't. It's just down the road, so I think a lot of people have still done 3 corner pubs. Wouldn't they? The traditionalists of football fans, they would have still done that. The Forest game's been shifted as well, hasn't it? Being brute forward switch.
Sky.
What they're going to do?
Why couldn't they pick an away game? That was my initial reaction. Was can't you pick an away game? That was it. Then we don't have to pay the tenner.
What they're going to do is chance, though, because all the bloody had last time were he's electric for about 90 minutes. They're going to have to dig deep into our archives. Maybe that Pippa chant that Who was mentioning
Dan
it?
Peckett with his
Dan,
Pig.
maybe get yourself to Sky, get yourself an audio, put it in, and it could be you next Friday night. But yeah, see, that's another tough game, isn't it? You know, Forest. But let's just hope that these recruits come in, and then was it South? God, I can't believe we're speaking about quarantine and stuff. But I just think we're just needing a boost, aren't we? Or a Philip, as the retired Mr. Booth would say.
The legend Mel Booth, yeah. Look, I think one point I want to make before we close it is that, yeah, okay, some of the stuff that we've said today can be construed as negative, you know, but it's not so much negativity, it's genuine concern with the direction. But there's also with the concern, we've also got hope as well, in that we've seen the signing of Pieper, and a couple more of that ilk, you know, and we'll be buzzing on this podcast for sure. And you know, there are certain good things to look forward to. The new style, immediately we're a better side to watch. It's just, if we address those concerns that we have, then I think we'll all be incredibly happy moving forward into this season, and we'll all be, you know, vibrant and back to our more positive selves, I would think. But you know, we do have genuine concerns with the goal creation, but I wouldn't always construe that as a negative at the minute. Yeah, don't slag me off, is what I'm saying.
we just want Huddersfield to do well, don't we? I think that's it at the end of the day. We all care about it. We just want to have something to cheer about. I think, I admit it's probably not great listening for fans, but, you know, like you say, Matt, Pippa was good. He nearly, you know, if Bakuna could have sorted his feet out, Bakuna might have scored. You know, this young Ajax lad, if that happens, you know, it sounds like we're making moves, but I think you just got to judge it, the squad at the moment, and it's not.
On the plus side, after all that, is we've got a new face on the podcast next week.
Oh,
is he in the chat box at the minute, giving it big licks?
In the chat, yeah,
giving it the big licks. Seeing as I bottled it this week.
Cool. So yeah, let's just hope we can get something from our London trip on Saturday, but whatever happens, we will be back.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, everybody. And Kosi, if you want to sing us out.
Don't.
It's been a while.
It's good night from us.
I'm missing you. I'm still alright to smile. Girl, I think about you every day now. Was a time when I wasn't sure, but you set my mind at ease. There is no doubt you're in my heart now. Say, woman, take it slow, things will be just fine. All we need is just a little patience. Say, sugar, take it slow, it will come together fine. All we need is just a little patience. Cause I'd rather be alone. If I can't have you right now, I'll wait, dear. Sometimes it gets so tense, but I can't speed up the time. 'Cause you know, love, there's one more thing to consider. Say, woman, take it slow, things will be just fine. I'll just use a little patience. Said sugar, take the time, 'cause the lights they shine so bright. You and I've got what it takes to make it. We won't fake it, I'll never break it, 'cause I can't take it.